so the Lions got a game this week against those Dolphins out of Miami, So let's go over this game and let's take a look at everything we need to know about this game against the Dolphins. So, for this game, the point spread for this game, it currently has the Dolphins favored in this game by 3 points. I'm honestly surprised it's not a lot higher than that, honestly. But overall, Miami, they lead the all-time series against Detroit 7-5. However, the Lions have won the last 3 meetings against Miami, dating back to 2010. Miami this year, they're 1-2 on the road this year. Detroit is 1-2 at home, so both teams are 1-2 on their respective side of the board. For the Dolphins offense, of course, at quarterback, you have Tua Tagovailoa, or as I like to call him, along with many others, Tua turns the ball over. Yeah, who somehow quickly recovered after going down with a bad concussion against the Bengals a few weeks ago. And honestly, him going down with that injury against the Bengals, it just shows that player safety NFL is kind of a fucking joke. Especially since they let Tua back in that game, play in that game to begin with, when Tua should not have even been playing in that game against the Bengals. Hell, Tua shouldn't even been allowed in the second half of the game against the Bills, for fuck's sakes. Like, player safety is just a fucking joke in itself. And then at running back, you got pretty much a 3 running back by committees with Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, and Myles Gaskins. The receiving core, you got the pregnant woman beater and women's rights champion Tyreek Hill. And you got the second-year wide receiver, Jalen Waddle. So, still 2 solid wide receivers to have for Tua. And then you got the tight end, Mike Gesicki. The defensive line is anchored by Christian Wilkins and Raekwon Davis, along with Zach Seiler. And then on the edge, you have Jalen Phillips. And now Emmanuel Ogbah, he is questionable for this game with a back injury, so we'll see if he plays or not, if he goes through with it. The linebacking core, you got names like Jerome Baker, and Landon Roberts, Duke Riley, and Channing Tindall. The secondary, you got Xavier Howard at corner. They are without Byron Jones, as he's on the PUP reserve list for an ankle injury, along with Nick Needham, who's suffered a season-ending Achilles injury a couple weeks ago. And in the safety, it's all down to Javon Holland on the safety position now. Because Brandon Jones is still on the IR with a knee injury. So a lot of the bank of the Dolphins' injuries, effectively, is on the secondary. And it's some key players on that secondary for the Dolphins. Of course, the head coach in this situation for this team is Mike McDaniels, which honestly, it should be Brian Flores. Honestly, I don't know why the Dolphins fired Brian Flores last year. He wasn't the problem in Miami. Honestly, if it was a choice between either Flores or Chris Grier, they should have fired the GM. The GM was more of a problem than Flores. Flores was a damn good coach. I feel like firing Flores is going to be a massive mistake that the Dolphins are going to live with for years. The offensive coordinator is Frank Smith, and the defensive coordinator is Josh Boyer. Now, the Dolphins' offense this year currently is a top 10 unit, ranked 10th. They're 3rd in the passing game, but their rushing attack has been pretty lackluster, ranked 29th. Oof. So even though the offense is a top 10 unit, it does have its fair share of kinks. The defense has been pretty lackluster, as the defense has been ranked 20th this year. They're 24th against the pass, but oddly enough, they're a top 10 unit against the run, ranked 7th against the run. So, figure that out. I mean, definitely the keys to this game, I think you gotta get the receivers like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Hawkinson and all of them. And if you can get DeAndre Swift back, I think you gotta take advantage of the passing game and try and take advantage of how banged up the Dolphins secondary is, because they're missing 3 key players on that secondary to injuries. Potentially season-ending injuries, too. I just got to find a way to protect Goff and, just stop that run from the Dolphins. And just take advantage of the Dolphins' banged-up secondary. It's going to be definitely a challenge to run against this Dolphins defense, especially with Christian Wilkins right there and Raekwon Davis. Those are two damn good defensive nose tackles for that D-line to anchor. Not going to be an easy game for sure. And yeah, I do have my question about Mike McDaniels, especially since because when Mike McDaniels got hired by Miami, it was around when Flores had that lawsuit against Stephen Ross about the whole Tankgate thing, and that's when the whole tampering thing came out. And when Mike McDaniels came over, he said that there was no red flags in coming to Miami. Huh? No red flags? When you literally came over, your owner was being accused of being a racist. And for telling Flores to intentionally lose games for tanking just so they could have a shot at Joe Burrow. Okay, to be fair, when they were tanking at the start of 2019, it was supposed to be for Tua. Until we found out that Tua has glass bones. So then the top prize in the tank bowl became Joe Burrow when Joe Burrow emerged out of nowhere. So, there's the benefit of the doubt there. And honestly, who's to say Mike McDaniels will truly be the guy for the Dolphins going forward? Because Stephen Ross hasn't been able to get the head coach right. Just let me put this in perspective for Stephen Ross. This guy chose the Dolphins, remember, this is a team that thought choosing Adam Gase over Dan Campbell was a good idea. And look how that turned out. Because, oh yeah, keep this in mind, Dan Campbell was an interim head coach for the Dolphins a long time ago. And he could have been the head coach of the Dolphins, but they chose Adam fucking Gase over him. So yeah, this is a game for Dan Campbell to try and come out here and prove that the Dolphins made a mistake not hiring him. Can Dan do it? We'll have to see. But this is definitely a must-win game for the Lions. Especially if they want to keep especially if Campbell wants to not lose the locker room, because if they go and end up on a 5-game losing streak, then it's going to be a very tough uphill climb from here on out. Not going to be an easy game for sure. And who knows if Tua truly is the guy going forward, especially since he's had issues staying healthy throughout the first 3 seasons of his career. Keep this in mind, the Dolphins haven't been able to get the QB position right since Marino retired. Like, the best QB they've had since then is Ryan Tannehill. And Dolphins haven't even got the head coach right since Jimmy Johnson retired? Hell, the best head coach they've had under Stephen Ross's ownership was Brian Flores. And the Dolphins effectively threw his ass out like trash. And honestly, the Dolphins got off easy with those whole tampering things. When they only got fined like $2 billion and Ross got suspended. And they only lost like a first and a third round pick for it. Like honestly, Ross should just be glad that the whole Flores Tankgate thing wasn't concrete enough to throw the book at him. Since nearly there are a lot of teams that tank in this league. Honestly, with this whole Tankgate theme from the Dolphins, I wouldn't be shocked in a couple years if the NFL puts a draft lottery in to try and discourage tanking and turn it into a total crapshoot. I mean, the NFL wants to do it. They're just waiting for the right moment to do it. Because you look at it, NHL has a draft lottery for the top 3 picks. NBA has a draft lottery for the top 4 picks. And now MLB has a draft lottery for the top 6 picks in the draft. I mean, the 3 other top pro sports leagues have a draft lottery. NFL is next, and honestly, I will not be against the draft lottery, because you should never fucking tank. You should always try to win every game. Like, hey, everybody goes through a rebuilding cycle at some point in their history. But this is going to be a very tough game for the Lions overall. Not going to be an easy game for sure, especially since the Dolphins have been able to recover. They're like 4-3. So, Dolphins are still doing good, but if Mike McDaniels has any success with the Dolphins, just know that he inherited a team that Brian Flores built from the ground up. Because Brian Flores, he was going to be the most successful disciple out of the Bill Belichick tree. Mainly because he was doing the few things, that other Bill Belichick disciples have failed to do. Be themselves, instead of be Bill Belichick 2.0. And then the Dolphins just threw them straight out like trash. Especially after back-to-back winning seasons. A black coach getting fired after back-to-back winning seasons. I feel like we've seen this one before. I just can't quite put my finger on it. Okay, to be fair, Brian Flores was a hell of a lot better than Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell's 9-7s were not good enough, especially when most of those 9-7 wins, especially when most of those 9 wins in those 9-7 seasons came against shit the competition, because Jim Caldwell shit the bed against teams with a winning record, but always beat the teams he was supposed to beat. Flores was able to do it all, bitch. Like, there was no reason to fire Flores. Like, that was just bullshit there. And also, the Flores firing also proves that the damn Rooney Rule is a goddamn fucking joke, and it's so fucking flawed and broken. But yeah, honestly, the Lions, this is a must-win for the game for the Lions, but I feel like the Lions are going to end up finding a way to lose. Because, simply put, the Dolphins just have a lot more talent than the Lions, and the Lions are still a bit banged up. So, not going to be an easy game. I think the Dolphins will win this game 27-20. And before everyone loses their shit, just know this. The last 2 times I picked the Lions to win by 6 or 7 points, the Lions have lost. So, maybe, just maybe, if I pick the Lions to lose by 6 or 7 points, maybe the Lions will flip it and win the game. Reverse psychology. Will they do it? I have my doubts. But yeah, I think the Dolphins win this game by 7. It's not going to be an easy game, and I just feel like the Dolphins have more talent. I don't want to lose this game to the Dolphins and this fucking incompetent franchise. Because if the Lions lose this game, then all the fucking Tua sexuals in the Lions fan base will come out of fucking high and be like, see, I told you we should have drafted Tua in 2020. Fuck the Lions. And I honestly can't stand those Tua fanboys because they're so fucking retarded and delusional as fuck. Can't stand them. Honestly, the Dolphins even fucked up on that front because they should have drafted Justin Herbert over Tua turned the ball over. Hell, maybe the Dolphins wouldn't have fired Brian Flores if they drafted Justin Herbert over Tua. Maybe then. But yeah, I still feel like the Dolphins win this game. I think it's going to be another frustrating Sunday. But hey, at least the Red Wings look good right now, and the Pistons look exciting to watch. At least we got that right now. Maybe one day the Lions can be like the Red Wings and Pistons. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's just going to be another frustrating game in this up and down season. Who knows? Maybe the Lions prove me wrong this time. We'll have to see. I'm out.